Hello team. So the world is going crazy on MCPs. MCP helps with the creation of agents and workflow utilizing LLMs. So these LLMs often require integration with data and tools. And this is what MCP offers. It offers you all the pre-configured integration that your LLM can directly connect to. So however, in this video, we are not going to use Claude Desktop for creation of any MCP clients. What we are going to do is we are going to have a simple implementation of a server and client within Visual Studio Code with a DevContainer. So implementation will be on Linux, that is Debian. So here is the implementation which we are going to do, and it's a very simple implementation. So what we are going to do is we are going to have a client as well as a server, and the client, rather than using Claude Desktop, we will write our own. So we'll just add few queries. So we'll have a very simple example, like something like add 1 and 2. And what we are going to see is we will have one or two tools, for example, to add and as well as multiplication. And we are going to implement this and going to see the answer. So as you saw here, whenever I gave a query of add 1 and 2, it came up with the answer, which is 3. Now we are just going to see how to do this implementation. So it's not only about addition, but we can have multiplication also, and there are more complexity which we can bring in. So let's get started. So here is our setup. So I'm just going to quit first. So here is our setup. So what we have done is we have created two folder structures. So again, all the steps I will be giving it within the GitHub link. So basically what we have done is we have created two folders. One is with MCP Server Explorer, and there is where we have our own tools created. So this is the file where it is created. So the name of the file is MCP Server Explorer, explore.py. And we have created two simple tools to add number as well as another tool to multiply number. So this is our server. So it is doing nothing, but it is exposing the tools which we can use. And in the other file, which is client, and this is something which is little complicated, but what we are trying to do is we are trying to connect with this server which has these two tools, and then we are sending the query, finding out which tool to invoke using again Claude APIs, and then trying to bring the answer. So that's what we are going to do. And if you see the whole workflow, so this is exactly what we are trying to do. So client connects to server, find out the tools which are available, and then based on our query find out which tool to invoke, get the response and displays it here. So that's what's happening. So let me cover the server first. So here is the server, and what we need to do is, again, I have the steps written. So what we need to do is we need to create a virtual environment. So this is what I have done. So I created using UV a specific environment, MCP Server Explorer. Then I activated the environment and then installed some dependencies for the server. And server is nothing but very simple two functions for adding as well as for multiplying. So this is the bare minimum which we are trying to do. And post that, what you need to do is you just need to invoke it using client. So what we need to do is, again, in a nutshell, create this server with all the proper environments, and then we are going to create the same with the client, and then we are going to invoke it. So once server is done, we are going to see the client. Again, what we have is couple of things. So we created a folder just like we did it for the server. So what we did was we created using UV, and those who wanted to know, UV is a package manager. So basically you can create your environments and all using UV. So the same methods that we applied for the server, we applied for the client also. So we created one specific environment, and then we activated that environment, and then we added few packages like MCP, Python dot, Anthropic, and so on. And then what we did was, once it is done, we are running it. So we are using this command to run it. So basically what we are trying to do is we are telling it to run client, and we are also giving it a path of the server from where to invoke the tools. And the actual implementation looks like this. So first of all, please notice that we have invoked, or we have installed Python dot environment as well as Anthropic, because we will be using Claude APIs to invoke our LLMs. And then what we try to do is we just do a boilerplate code to initialize few things. And after that, this function connect to server actually connects with the server. It checks whether the file which we have passed as a parameter exists or not. So basically, if you noticed here, we have passed the location of a Python file. So that's what's happening here. So it checks whether that exists or not. Post that, what happens is it gives the client as such. So the client actually retrieves all the tools, and then it gives LLM, in this case Claude 3.5 Sonnet, to understand the query, and based on these tools, let call one of the tool or multiple tools. So basically it is giving the list of all the available tools. It is passing our message, the message which we have written, like add 1 and 2, and then trying to get the response, and post that response is done, it is getting the result. So basically everything, for example, finding the right tool to call the query, getting the response by filling the arguments, everything is done by Claude. So that's what we are going to do. So again, I'm just going to run it again just to show the workflow. So we are invoking client, we are passing the workflow, we are passing the server as such, and this is the client environment, again a separate environment. Then it lists out all the tools. So it is invoking these methods to understand it's invoking server to understand which tools are available there. And post that, what it tries to do is it asks us what exactly is our query. It now knows that we have these tools, and we have the description as well as name for that. So we are going to say, let's say so it understands which tool to call, in this case multiplication, and it is going to do the result of multiplying 2 and 3 is 6. Let's have one more complex example where we say add 1 and 2 and multiply by 3. So the ideal answer should be 3 multiplied by 2 plus 1. So the answer it gave is, let's add 1 and 2, which is again 3. Now let's multiply the result 3 by 3. So yeah, it didn't perform 2 into 3, but it performed adding 1 and 2 first, and then it invoked the second result. So this was a simple example of how we can build tools. So stay connected, we are going to make it much more complicated. So rather than using these two simple tools, probably what we are going to do is we are going to write some complex tools, maybe going to web, fetch some results, making some documents, markdowns and all. So that's what we are going to do. So thanks team, thanks for watching, bye.